Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. In this video today, guys, we're going to be diving down into the world of Avalanche, taking a look at what has been going on most recently with the price action of AVAX. After seeing a 20% pump today, are we likely to see another pullback, or is this going to continue to the upside? As we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit the like button, really do appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done, and out of the way, let's jump on down into the desktop and take a look at what is going on here with AVAX. Okay guys, so here we have AVAX paired with USDT. We're actually just on the daily, but let's actually just scoot on up into our weekly view just to kind of get a bit of an overview as to what's going on here. So basically we can see here that we have these 5 impulsive moves, right? And for the most part, it's quite a sloppy impulsive move. And I do think that actually we're probably witnessing something slightly different, okay? Obviously, with this kind of launching only relatively recently, late 2020, specifically with Binance data, and we haven't got a huge amount of information to actually run with. So taking a look at it from this kind of perspective is potentially, a little bit more, dangerous, because ultimately this first wave should have actually started much lower, right? Making it a little bit neater. But considering our data points right now, we actually have a relatively sloppy kind of 1 through 5. And what's really interesting about this is obviously how AVAX here, the wave 3 is supposed to always be your largest wave. Now, it can, of course, be your second largest, but it can never be your shortest, right? So it's important that we understand that. Now, with wave 1 being so short, it's going to make wave 5 very, very large if we were to see this thing through to the bull run's end, right? So I think actually it's probably, it's interesting to kind of paint it out this way, but we might actually start classing this more as an ABC move, so that we can actually then start to analyze this pullback here with then another kind of push to the upside. This, I think, actually will align much neater with where we think AVAX is likely to go slightly longer term. Okay, so there are some other things, though, with this weekly chart I do think is important to understand, right? So we'll take that off in a second, but we are in this oversold area. For AVAX, this is an area that we've been to previously. Okay, so from this area, we do expect some pretty good growth to occur, and this growth is potentially going to take it up to some fantastic new all-time highs. Okay, so it's always good to understand from the weekly point of view when you zoom right out, how is that big macro picture actually looking? Now, I'm going to quickly remove off the chart here that 1 through 5, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly mark this up as an A, a B, and a C move. And what we'll do is we'll just quickly do some measurements as well to make sure that everything is, as you'd expect it to be. If we actually push this up, you can see that this went very impulsive to the upside. So you could actually class this as a 1, 2, 3, maybe as a 4 here and a 5 there. But I am going to leave it as an ABC just so that we can keep it quite simple. Okay, then we're going to come down and we're going to see that there's an ABC correction in here, an A, B, and C correction. And that's a pretty standard one. You'd always tend to see this bigger ABC move after a big push to the upside. And that's pretty standard across the space there. So not anything to kind of worry about. And as we continue now, we can see this good growth to the upside overall here, right? And it's important that we also acknowledge at this point that this push to the upside is also full of a couple of pullbacks, right? And here, if we actually go ahead and start putting in here an A as a B here, when does this actual C go? Maybe the C is up here, right? And when we actually start measuring this out, what we can actually start to do is make sense of these kind of motions, right? So the pullback that you see here is pretty much a 50% pullback, right? We can see that high up the top here where we put the top of our A wave. Coming down, this actually takes it into that 382 area, actually. So it's actually reasonably a pretty decent pullback and pretty much in line with what you would expect from a B wave. Then obviously we take this and we put this this Fibonacci measurement on top of our low of our B, and we can see that actually the C wave have overextended again, right? Much higher than you would normally expect. So we can take this C wave and actually go ahead and put it here, and then we can start to analyze this motion, and we can start to see there's a lot of choppiness kind of going on in the space, right? So after we actually take into consideration this kind of fantastic growth that we've had, and as we continue this push to the upside, it's important that we acknowledge that this could have potentially have been, an a 1 through 5 in this motion, in the same way that we actually had inside here as well, with an ABC correction, right? So I don't want to get into too much detail on the weekly chart, but it is looking very interesting with some pretty good growth overall, right? And as we start to analyze this, we could potentially be on the cusp of an ABC motion to the downside here on this weekly chart, just to kind of finish this off. And if that is the case, then actually what we should be looking at would be take that high, take our B, we'll look for that high B wave there, and then obviously that C. Now, when we measure out our A wave here, we'll pull this down, okay? Actually, I'll do it the other way around so we can see what's going on to the downside. So we'll do it this way. Okay, we'll grab this and we'll put this, approximately on here, and we can start to see that that C wave could potentially go quite deep if we were to see that, right? We could potentially come down towards that $36 range. I don't think that's likely to occur though. So I think it's important that we kind of acknowledge that this is actually probably more of an impulsive move to the upside overall, right? So we know that an ABC to the downside is probably, it's not likely. I think it's important that we acknowledge that ABC going down towards that $36 range would be a very, very steep kind of pullback, right? One that's definitely outside of what we're seeing at the moment, specifically if you look at that stochastic RSI as well, right? And it would not be in line with what we see Bitcoin doing as well. So an ABC down isn't something that I can see here. So therefore, the remaining kind of conclusion has to be that this is actually an impulsive move. And again, this is pretty much in line with our expectations, as in we have that one move there, move up here for a wave 3, and then we're pulling back for wave 4, and now we are looking to try to trigger in that wave 5. Now, in that particular scenario, we're able to take the high here and this low and actually start to think about where this fifth wave is potentially on the horizon, or where it's potentially going, right? And we start to actually take a look at some of these next kind of levels. And I think one of the main things that we always look for when a fifth wave kind of comes in here is to look for that 1.618 area. That would basically be putting this, next kind of move up towards that $192 range. Okay, so that's something, seems like something is a little bit more comfortable with what's going on in the space, and we're able to also acknowledge that there's a few moves inside here as well. Okay, so there's in sense of this third wave right here, we can see that there's a definitive A, B, and C move that again you can measure the distance on to make sure that that actually kind of comes in line with our expectations. We'll grab that, we'll push it up, and here you can see that the C wave comes in just a little bit above that 618 area. Okay, so interesting kind of to see that one kind of play out there. So that's an ABC inside of our say a third wave to the upside. I'm going to quickly just keep that neat and remove that, and we'll also just remove that off there. So we have a good idea now of what's going on here. We had this ABC up, and we had that followed with an ABC down, which is a standard correction pattern that you would normally see, specifically around this lower area. And then we're starting to get into this impulsive move that we've been seeing recently. Okay, and this fifth wave potentially could go all the way up to that higher area of the 4.236, that $254. But I am going to keep it pretty conservative at that 190 just for now to see how that one plays out. It's about $100 on from our current position. It would make that fifth wave very short, going after the 1.618. But we are looking at some interesting numbers overall. So the weekly chart's looking very good, guys. And as we come down into our daily, again, these things are also confirmed to us. We can see that there's this nice ABC move to the downside here on this time frame as well, and we can see that here with an A, B, and C. Again, with this one, when we measure this one out, we take all of this into consideration. We look to push this down, and again, you can see how we pretty much come like for like with our A wave marrying up with our C wave here. Very, very neat and tidy. Then we go into this continuation sideways move right here, and now we're looking at the birth of a starting of a new trend to the upside. Coming out of this oversold area, the stochastic RSI, on our daily chart here, looking to grow this now. So we are looking for a pullback, but it doesn't look like the pullback's coming in on this daily chart anytime soon. So the next thing that's really important that we have to do here, guys, is jump down into those smaller time frames. So we jump into the 8 hourly, you can see that it's already overbought. So on the 8 hourly time frame, we are looking to see that correction come in. Okay, and there's a couple of things that I think most people will be familiar with. That's just trend lines, and right here you can see that on this area right up here, we can see that this is an area of resistance on this downward trend, and we're fast approaching that. So there could be a time here for a point of reversal in the market here for AVAX. So do watch out for that one. But we have just breached past an area of resistance as well. This was another area of previous support, but once we broke it, it became heavy resistance like we did on the way up. This area is about $97. It's right in that zone right there. That's the area that we're just pushing past at $99 right now. As we come into that 4 hourly view as well, also overbought. Again, nothing really changes here other than the fact that we're on a slightly smaller time frame, so we can see more candles, and then again they're all moving in the same direction. Now, as we come into the hourly report or hourly chart here, we can also see something similar. This time we get a little bit more of that detail, that push to the upside, right? And here we can see that we're not quite fully overbought, which means we're probably going to be pushing up a little bit more before we start to see that pull back down. Now, with this, we can, of course, acknowledge a few things, right? First of all, here's an A, B, C right in there on this smaller time frame. Okay, then there's an ABC down. Okay, it's a really small one, but basically it takes us out of this area here just a little bit. And so we have that ABC and down, and then we start this bigger move to the upside, right? And this is a bigger kind of A wave right here with our B wave down and then our C wave up, right? And what we want to do is measure this distance, okay? Because this is the important one. We take this into consideration. We go move this on top of our B wave right here. And actually you can see right now, we are coming up right to the 1-for-1 ratio at $100. Not only is it a psychological barrier, but that C wave is exactly coming out at $100. So that right there would be my resistance, my reversal point, meaning that actually we're more than likely going to start losing momentum right now, and we're going to start seeing an ABC correction to the downside. Okay, so right now, at your point, if you're watching this video, it's probably already started. So watch out for that. We might push a little bit higher, overextending, but this is the area in line with that downward trend line that we've been seeing, is most likely the area that we're going to look for that reversal right now. So you have the A wave, the pullback here, coming in for the B wave, and then that C wave. The C wave marrying exactly 1-for-1 on that A wave. Now, if I actually go and put this back down, and we'll go ahead and take it this way a little bit, here you can see the pullback with our B wave just coming down below the 618 and just before that 50% retracement and then pushing back up. Pretty standard that you're going to hit the 618, the 50%, or the 382. Now, if we actually really want to do it the right way around, so we actually take it from the bottom of our A wave to the top of our A wave, here you can see that actually it comes down and we hit that 50% before approaching the 618. It's a different way of looking at it, but the same concept, right? Again, this is just an easier way to, some people like to see these things go down rather than up. But basically we are looking at a 1-for-1 ratio right now on top of this $100 range. This should then trigger an ABC correction down, a nice healthy corrective move that will then hopefully get the reversal and start to see that push back to the upside. Nothing moves up in straight lines, guys. So you do actually see these natural kind of pullbacks like with wave B. This time, however, you're going to see a slightly bigger pullback than you would normally have seen just with wave B. This will get completed. Again, it could be a micro movement like you saw at the beginning of this move to the upside, but chances are after a big move like this where you gained over 20%, you do end up with a slightly more significant pullback here before actually continuing that growth to the upside. Okay, so do watch out for that. That is something that I do expect to happen here over the next few hours, specifically as we start to run out of momentum. We can go and check the volume here. You can see right now the volumes are increasing, but I do expect the volumes to start decreasing as we find that resistance point. And if we actually come back up into that 8-hourly chart, just bring this back down, and we draw that trend line back on, not only do we now know that this is actually a part of an ABC move to the upside, and that C wave is running out of leverage, if you think of it reaching its optimum level. Right now, this is where we're most likely going to start seeing a bit of a reversal. Not only are we up against resistance, but we're also marrying up our A wave with our C wave. This is a perfect kind of point for a reversal, so do watch out for that. Obviously, I'm not offering you financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Chris is not a financial advisor, but that is how I read the charts here, and this might be a good opportunity to maybe ride this one down if you want to. Obviously, do your own research and all of that kind of good stuff, but AVAX, I do believe, has a long-term value that you could add to this one. I think it's got a long way to go. I think it's only really just started, and it's fantastic to be able to ride this one up to the upside as long-term investors. So guys, I am going to leave the video right there. If you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I will catch you all in the next one.